Sirens shriek across newsrooms as a bold headline flashes on screens: decisive action. Iran's chilling warning to US and allies. The world watches, tense and silent. On live TV, anchors speak in clipped tones, their voices tight with urgency, as they reveal a sudden and frightening escalation in the Persian Gulf. The night's calm shatters as diplomats, generals, and citizens brace for what may come. Across Twitter, millions scroll in disbelief. Trending hashtags: hashtag Iran crisis, hashtag US alert, hashtag red line, flood timelines. In Washington, the Pentagon's lights burn bright. In Tehran, crowds gather around outdoor screens, watching their leaders address the nation. The air crackles with uncertainty. Every second feels like a countdown. Outside the UN headquarters in New York, cameras flash as diplomats rush inside. The mood is grim. News tickers scroll with headlines warning of unprecedented military buildup and decisive moments ahead. World markets react instantly. Oil prices spike, stocks tumble, and investors scramble for safety. Tonight, the globe stands at a dangerous crossroads. The stakes could not be higher, and every word, every move, is magnified by the possibility of war. The Iranian Foreign Ministry acts swiftly. In the early morning hours, an urgent letter from Tehran arrives on the desk of the UN Secretary General. The message is clear, direct, and unmistakable. Iran accuses the United States and its allies of provocative actions in the Gulf region. They warn of war arms. Any Thani. Aggression against Iran will be met with decisive, immediate action without hesitation. The letter, delivered by Iran's ambassador, is read aloud to the Security Council. Cameras flash as diplomats murmur and scribble notes. The tone is somber, almost cold. Iran's representative insists that the country's sovereignty cannot be challenged. We do not seek confrontation, the letter states, but we will defend our land and people with all available means. Across the world, governments pore over the letter's words. Analysts debate its meaning on talk shows and podcasts, their voices hushed with worry. Iran's move is not just a warning, it is a signal to friends and foes alike. Tehran is prepared. As the UN meets in urgent session, the world is forced to reckon with the seriousness of Iran's message. The warning hangs over the assembly like a storm cloud, threatening, real, and impossible to ignore. Inside Iran, the government stresses its message to both its people and the world. We do not want war. President Ebrahim Raisi appears on national television, solemn and resolute. He declares, "Our aim is peace and stability for the region, but if attacked, we will strike back with force and determination." The Iranian military releases images of defensive positions and missile batteries on alert. Soldiers stand ready, faces grim. State media plays footage of recent war games, emphasizing discipline and unity in the face of outside threats. Provocation will not go unanswered, a defense spokesman warns. International observers note that Iran's statements are carefully balanced. The language is defiant, but not reckless. Analysts see a government eager to avoid direct conflict, yet unwilling to show weakness. "We respect international law," says Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian, "but our response will be swift if our security's compromised." As night falls, Tehran's streets are tense but calm. Citizens watch and wait, trusting that their leaders will hold firm but avoid disaster, unless disaster is forced upon them. Across the Atlantic, former President Donald Trump unleashes a flurry of tweets. His words are bold, unfiltered, and instantly viral. "Any attack by Iran will be met with overwhelming force," he posts. "Our military is ready. Aircraft carriers, bombers, and the best soldiers in the world are in position." Trump's rhetoric echoes across American news outlets. Pundits debate his tough tone while his supporters cheer. The Pentagon releases images of warships steaming into the Gulf and jets taking off from carriers. The message: America is not backing down. In a televised interview, Trump doubles down. "We are not looking for war, but if Iran crosses the line, there will be consequences like they've never seen," he says. The administration dispatches extra troops to the region and signals that all options are on the table. Tension soars as the world watches America's military machine move into place. The United States, Trump insists, will not be intimidated, and neither will its allies. In Jerusalem, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responds with his trademark bluntness. Standing before a wall of flags, he warns, "Israel will never allow Iran to threaten our existence. If attacked, we will respond with devastating force. Our alliance with the United States has never been stronger." Netanyahu's words are echoed by top Israeli generals. The Israeli Defense Forces are placed on high alert, air defense systems whir to life, and jets patrol the skies. In the Knesset, lawmakers from across the political spectrum stand united, applauding Netanyahu's tough stance. Israeli media runs non-stop coverage of troop movements and emergency drills. Citizens stock up on supplies, their memories of past conflicts razor sharp. We are ready for any contingency. An IDF spokesperson assures the public, our enemies should not test us. The message from Jerusalem is unmistakable. Israel will not hesitate, and with the United States at its side, it is prepared to act. The nuclear issue hangs over the crisis like a shadow. President Trump, never one to mince words, tells reporters, Iran will never have nuclear weapons. Period. He points to U.S. intelligence and military options, signaling zero tolerance for any nuclear escalation. In response, President Raisi addresses the Iranian parliament saying, our nuclear program is peaceful, but we will not bow to threats or intimidation. Sanctions and bullying only make us more determined to defend our rights. Lawmakers cheer, pounding their desks in a rare show of unity. Nuclear inspectors warn that the situation is fragile. The International Atomic Energy Agency calls for urgent talks, fearing that any miscalculation could be catastrophic. Diplomacy is the only way forward, says the agency's chief, but the window is closing. As threats and accusations fly, the world edges closer to a point of no return. The nuclear file, more than any other, makes this crisis uniquely dangerous. In the Gulf of Oman, a remarkable show of force unfolds. Iranian and Russian warships sail in tight formation. Commandos rappel from helicopters onto the decks of simulated enemy vessels. Missiles streak across the sky as live fire drills shake the waters. Officials from both countries stand shoulder to shoulder, watching the exercise. Russian Admiral Igor Osipov praises Iran's military professionalism, saying, together, we send a clear message. Aggression against any of us will be met with united strength. The drills grab headlines worldwide. Western military analysts study the maneuvers frame by frame. The message is unmistakable. Iran is not isolated, and Russia's backing is more than symbolic. As the exercise concludes, both nations vow to deepen their cooperation. The Gulf becomes a theater of power, one where old alliances are tested and new ones forged. Back in Moscow, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov issues a stern warning. At a packed press conference, he declares, any strike against our partners in Tehran will have serious, unpredictable consequences. His words carry weight, and honestly, a bit of menace. Lavrov accuses the United States of reckless brinkmanship. He warns that Russian interests in the region will be defended. Escalation must stop, or we risk a conflict that could spiral out of control, he says. Diplomats from Europe and Asia listen, visibly unsettled. Russian state media amplifies Lavrov's message. Talk shows feature generals and analysts who warn that Moscow will not stand by if Iran is attacked. The Kremlin releases footage of strategic bombers taking off, a not-so-subtle reminder of Russia's global reach. The world takes notice. With Russia drawing a red line, every misstep in the Gulf carries the threat of wider war. In the Gulf states, anxiety grows. Leaders from the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar call for restraint. Dialogue, not war, is the only solution, says a joint statement. Their diplomats work overtime, shuttling between Washington, Tehran, and Moscow, hoping to cool tempers. International organizations urge calm. The United Nations calls for an immediate de-escalation, and the European Union offers to mediate. On the streets of Dubai, Riyadh, and Doha, ordinary people watch nervously, remembering the pain of past crises, yet the military buildup continues. Naval convoys ply the Strait of Hormuz, and air patrols crisscross the sky. The world waits, holding its breath. The risk of a single spark igniting a regional firestorm has never been greater. Tonight, the message is clear. This is a dangerous moment. Power struggles, military posturing, and nuclear fears have brought the region to the edge. The world is, once again, playing with fire.